Hello and welcome to the public TV of Armenia. From December the 12th, Artsakh, or the Republic of Nagorno-Karabakh, is blockaded. Several villages appeared under the blockade inside the country. The reason is the closure of the only road, the Lachin corridor, by the fake eco-activists from Azerbaijan who pretend to be worried about the mines in Artsakh, and this is the only road connecting Artsakh to Republic of Armenia. Humanitarian situation in Artsakh is worsening day by day. There is no access to Artsakh except the International Red Cross, helping to transfer patients in critical condition to Armenia and provide necessary food, baby food, and some medication to some 120,000 people in Artsakh. Today I am honored to host Mr. Gegham Stepanyan, human rights defender of Artsakh, who is, by the way, also unable to go back to Stepanakert because of the blockade of the corridor. Mr. Stepanyan, thank you very much for joining.
Thank you.
Mr. Stepanyan, please update on the current situation in Artsakh.
The situation continues to be very complicated, very hard. For more than 2 weeks, Artsakh, with 120,000 people, is blockaded because the only road that connects Artsakh with the outside world, with Armenia, is closed by so-called Azerbaijani environmentalists, who are, by the way, have nothing to do with environmental arguments, environmental agenda. And those are people who are guided by the Azerbaijani authorities, and their actions are coordinated by the leadership of Azerbaijan. It is worth mentioning that Artsakh also has no air connection with the outside world since the First Karabakh War. The only airport in Stepanakert has not functioning, and Baku always threatens to destroy any object that flies from Stepanakert. So we are speaking about a total blockade, no land connection and no air connection of Artsakh with the outside world. And of course, this brings with itself irreversible humanitarian consequences. My office, the Ombudsman's office, is monitoring the humanitarian situation. We are documenting the problems that occur, and we can say that shortages of essential goods, fuel, fruits, vegetables, medications are already observed in shops, and the situation is getting worse day by day because the existing supplies are running out and there are no new supplies from Armenia. So we are in a humanitarian crisis, and the situation leads to humanitarian catastrophe that threatens to the lives of 120,000 people.
We see many patients, including the children, are still waiting for the surgeries being conducted in Artsakh, and yet Azerbaijan continues to block their transfer to Armenia, by this violating their basic human rights of healthcare. Please tell us about what other human rights are violated during the blockade of Artsakh.
In general, we can say that we are dealing with large-scale human rights violations. Of course, healthcare system is the most affected by this humanitarian crisis, because the healthcare system of Artsakh, Nagorno-Karabakh, is very closely integrated with the Armenian healthcare system. As a rule, we transfer patients in critical condition to Yerevan hospitals in order to provide high-quality medical care and to save their lives. And for 2 weeks now, tens of patients in critical condition are deprived of this opportunity. We already have death cases, people whose lives could have been saved if it was possible to transfer them to Yerevan. And we have huge problem with medicine, with the supply of medicines. People with chronic disease who are supposed to have medicine in a daily basis cannot find their necessary amount or necessary medications in pharmacies. And coming to other human rights, I should mention that thousands of people, including me, and including 270 children, are deprived of right to join their families and to return home. I have met with children in Yerevan. I have conversations with them, and I can say they are in a very vulnerable psychological situation. The same is about the parents whose children are in Stepanakert and they are here. So we can say also, we can talk about the right to food. As I have mentioned, many products are not supplied to Stepanakert, and there are already shortages: fuel, vegetables, fruits, and many other essential goods.
The so-called eco-activists, as it is already proved, staged several fake peaceful performances which ended up opening their real identities. Remember the dove being killed by a fur-wearing woman who by nature cannot be an eco-activist. Meanwhile, the real civil society activists are being arrested and put in jails in Azerbaijan, which is very well fact-based. What else do we have to do to prove to the UN, other international organizations and partner countries that this initiative is supported and encouraged by Aliyev's regime?
You know, I think that no one believes in Azerbaijani false narrative about the environmental agenda, I mean the environmental demonstrations. Everyone knows very well the situation of civil society, the situation of freedom of speech and freedom of assembly in Azerbaijan. And we also saw this during the discussions in the UN Security Council. Almost all member states just ignored the environmental claims of Azerbaijan and urging Azerbaijan to open the road immediately. And I think that no one believed in Azerbaijani environmental claims. We, together with the Armenian Ombudsman, published a report and included in the report a list of people who are the initiators of these so-called demonstrations of environmental activists. And everyone can find the names that are very closely connected with the special services of Azerbaijan. And some of them are representatives of special services of Azerbaijan, some of them are representatives of governmental, non-governmental organizations who are exclusively financed by the Aliyev Fund. So I think that it is more than vivid that these actions, this provocation is organized by the authorities of Azerbaijan, and it is another manifestation of the general policy of ethnic cleansing implemented by Azerbaijani authorities against Armenians of Artsakh.
Mm-hmm. After the blockade of the corridor, Azerbaijan started claiming that Russian peacekeepers are the only side to blame for the blockade. How would you comment on these claims?
Those arguments of Azerbaijan are groundless. I have posted a video on Twitter in which it is shown that peacekeeper approaches to the so-called environmentalists and asks them to open the road for Russian peacekeepers' convoy to pass through. The peacekeeper repeats the request for 3 times, and being rejected, he just orders the convoy to turn around and leave. This video very clearly shows that the Azerbaijanis are ones who are blocking the road, and the arguments of Azerbaijan, the intentions of Azerbaijan to depict that the road is open is false. It is not true. Of course, they will try to continue their narrative, but the reality is really different.
We saw many organizations and states expressing their deep concerns and urging Baku to immediately open the corridor. However, also we see that there is no development in this process. What do you think, what would force Azerbaijan to stop the blockade and not try to repeat the same provocation or other provocation in the future?
Yeah, we have many statements by different governments. I mean, the foreign ministries of different states made statements about the situation, urging Azerbaijan to unblock Artsakh. we can see that very addressed and very precise statements by the UN Security Council member states. Almost all of them urged Azerbaijan to guarantee the security and freedom of movement through the Lachin corridor. You know, these statements are very important in terms of putting pressure on Azerbaijan, but at the same time we see that Azerbaijan is acting in an atmosphere of total impunity and permissiveness. So I think that more real actions should be taken by the international community. I think that punitive measures should be implemented. Sanctions, economic or political sanctions should be put on Azerbaijan, imposed on Azerbaijan to compel Azerbaijan to follow its international obligations and finally to unblock the road and to prevent the repetition of such provocations. And at the same time, I think that the presence of UN bodies, the presence of different fact-finding missions, and also international media can be a very good measure for not having such situations in the future.
And covering more and more openly the situation from the side.
Yeah, of course.
From Artsakh. You were participating in 4th Global Forum against the crime of genocide in Yerevan, and after that you could not return to Artsakh. I wonder, what do you think about how close are the actions by Azerbaijan now to being genocidal towards the Armenians in Artsakh?
It's a very important question, very important issue, because the attitude shown by the Azerbaijani leadership, the authorities of Azerbaijan towards Artsakh people, Artsakh Armenians, contain the intentions of genocide and ethnic cleansing. Azerbaijan wants to destroy the people of Artsakh just because they are Armenians. And the goals of Azerbaijan to expel the Armenian population from Artsakh lies at the heart of Karabakh conflict. And these goals, this policy has been implemented by the Azerbaijani authorities always, starting from the Sumgait massacres to the war crimes committed by Azerbaijan during 44-day war, regardless of who was in power in Azerbaijan. And the genocidal intentions of Azerbaijan is also very clearly demonstrated in the statements of Azerbaijani authorities of non-existence of Nagorno-Karabakh. It means that the purpose of the war of 2020 was not just to destroy Nagorno-Karabakh Republic, but also its people, with historically established traditions, linguistic dialects, cultural heritage, I mean, everything that has been associated with Karabakh, with Artsakh for centuries. So all this policy, all the violations of human rights are indicators that the main goal of Azerbaijan is to expel Armenian population from Artsakh and to subject Armenians to a new genocide.
And my last question is about the hatred and hate speech in Azerbaijan, which is mainly the base of the genocidal intentions towards Armenian people. We see the hate speech and hatred disseminating in Azerbaijan as increasing after the 44-day war. Even BBC issued a special article on that, on Armenophobia and in Azerbaijan, how the hate speech are disseminating, especially among the young children. What is your observation on this?
Armenophobia is really a state ideology in Azerbaijan. Generations are brought up with hatred towards Armenians, and it is not something new. We, the Ombudsman's Office, has always alarming the international community, the international organizations, about the huge volume of Armenophobia and hate speech towards Armenians in Azerbaijan. And we were asking the international organizations to take real steps to prevent the dissemination of hatred towards Armenians. But we see that nothing changes. And BBC is talking about this topic now, but we always were claiming that Azerbaijan is poisoning children in schools, in universities with Armenophobia. many reports were published by the Armenian ombudsman, by Artsakh ombudsman on this topic. Many conferences were held in European Parliament and in other places to show the facts of Armenophobia in Azerbaijan. But unfortunately, nothing changes. And you are right, after the 44-day war, the volume of Armenophobia is increasing. The vivid example is the so-called trophy park. And in every statement made by the Azerbaijani president, Ilham Aliyev, we see the manifestations of Armenophobia and hate speech towards Armenians. The UN International Court of Justice also touched upon this issue in its decision from December 7, 2021, claiming that the hate speech towards Armenians in Azerbaijan is being disseminated at state level by public figures, by political leaders, and urging Azerbaijan to put an end to this practice. But Azerbaijan, as I mentioned, acts in an atmosphere of impunity. And this situation with Armenophobia is another indicator that Artsakh and Artsakh people cannot be a part of Azerbaijan, because you cannot put a nation which is subjected to hate speech under control of state or authorities who are generating hate speech. I mean, there is no way to have security or to have the human rights protection under this situation. So otherwise the outcome will be new genocide and ethnic cleansing.
And do you have hope that during these days the Lachin corridor will be opened and the blockade will be shifted?
I hope that the strong stance of international community and different countries can put great pressure on Azerbaijan and compel Azerbaijan to finally resolve this issue and to open the roads.
Mr. Stepanyan, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you too.
This is Public TV of Armenia, and today I discussed the current humanitarian crisis in Artsakh, which is caused by the blockade of the only road connecting the country to Armenia, and I hosted Mr. Gegham Stepanyan, human rights defender of Artsakh, who, by the way, also cannot go back to Stepanakert because of the blockade. Thank you for watching us.